Hey guys, Romney Reaper here. So I'm back from seeing Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which of course is the sequel to the first, of which it partly shares the same name. Phew, managed to avoid saying it. Look, the first film, it needs no introduction. It's very much made its mark on pop culture. You've heard at least one "don't say his name" joke. You've probably seen at least one Beetlejuice cosplay. Hell, there's probably at least one iconic scene from the film that's stayed lodged in there. It's become a Halloween staple for many, for good reason. It's a hugely fun film that I just have a blast with every time. Burton at the peak of his powers. And so, yeah, naturally, I was looking forward to a second round of wacky shenanigans with the ghost with the most. But does the film live up to the first film's weird and wacky stylings all these years later? Let's find out. So in the film, Lydia Deetz has made a name for herself as the presenter of supernatural TV show Ghost House, which is produced by her boyfriend Rory. However, behind the scenes things aren't so glamorous, as she's plagued by visions of Beetlejuice, which has driven a wedge between her and her daughter Astrid. One day, Lydia learns from her stepmother Delia that her father has tragically passed away, and so the three generations of Deet's women head back to the old ghost house in Winter River for the funeral proceedings. However, when they get there, Astrid is soon drawn into the weird and wacky world of the afterlife. And so, in a desperate bid to save her daughter, Lydia is forced to confront her demons and call upon the services of the ghost with the most. So, yeah, look, obviously it's worth noting that this is something that Burton has very much been trying to get off the ground for a long time. So, on a certain level, it is a passion project for him. It's not just a studio mandated legacy sequel to cash in on the original success all these years later. Like, there's a certain level of love going into this for Burton, and it definitely does show in the end product, which is a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And you can see that, even after the last few years of some, studio mandated higher hand work, like the Dumbo remake, but remember that? That was a thing that happened. You can very much see that Burton has not lost his touch at all. His imagination is still as rampant as ever, and it leads to a film that is hugely fun, just as much so as the first. I mean, for one, the insane craftsmanship that made the first so entertaining, you can bet that is present and correct, delivered in spades. You've got the amazingly creative set designs for the whole world of the afterlife, of which there are some really fun new additions here, including a soul train. You've got some great stop motion sequences, including a moment in which they explain away the Jeffrey Jones controversy in the most hilarious way possible. And you've got some great practical makeup effects for the weird and wacky inhabitants of the afterlife, including all the shrunken head people that work for Beetlejuice, led by Bob. I love Bob. Bob's the best. And of course, it's got that trademark pitch black sense of humor that made the first just so much fun to watch. Now, obviously, yes, for all Burton's imagination, it does kind of play itself a little safe at points regarding the whole legacy sequel beats. It does hit on beats that the first already touched on, but that does not take away from just how wildly creative this film is, with so many scenes that you can look at and just go, yep, this could only have come from a Tim Burton movie. But what helps ground the weird and wacky stylings and what makes it so compelling to watch, much like in the first, is the characters. And you've got a great, very memorable ensemble. Of course, Michael Keaton steals every scene he's in as Beetlejuice. He's clearly not lost a beat. Has just stepped right back in like he's never left. So much fun and just absolutely hilarious. So so good. You got Winona Ryder back as Lydia Deetz, and I very much enjoyed her arc of, coping with her trauma and also rekindling relations with her daughter Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, who's very much a skeptic regarding the afterlife and ghosts. And that was a really lovely little arc, and and Winona Ryder and Jenna Ortega do play it very well. Catherine O'Hara is back as Delia, and yeah, she's just as fun as ever as she takes her arc to new directions. We've also got the new addition of Justin Theroux as Rory, who's, a bit of a schmuck who, exploits any situation for money. He's a lot of fun. Perhaps my favorite character is Willem Dafoe as Afterlife cop Wolf Jackson. Yeah, he's a former movie star in life who lives by this mantra of gotta keep it real, and Dafoe is having the time of his life playing this role. Now, obviously, in terms of the ensemble, it's maybe a little overstuffed. There's a subplot involving teenage ghost Jeremy, which feels kind of rushed through. And we've got Monica Bellucci as Beetlejuice's soul-sucking ex-wife, Dolores, who gets a really memorable introduction scene, but her whole subplot doesn't really go anywhere until the last act, and in a way is basically just a reminder of how gorgeous Monica Bellucci is. Like, Tim, we didn't need reminded, honestly. But, that aside, it does sort of keep that sort of, wacky, shambolic charm that the first had, and, you know, through the characters, the comedy, and just the rampant imagination on display, it is hugely entertaining to watch and, consistently very, very compelling right through to the final act, which, obviously gets in all the great little character payoffs and features an extended sequence in which, Burton's imagination is just like unbelievably let loose for several minutes. So much just wacky creativity and just the style delivered in abundance and plenty of great laughs too. It is overall just a really fun climax to a really fun film overall. Yeah, Burton's back, I guess. And yeah, overall, Beetlejuice, it occasionally plays itself a little safe and is definitely a little overstuffed, but is overall consistently really enjoyable and entertaining throughout, just as much so as the first, even all these years later. And yeah, overall, out of 10, Beetlejuice gets an 8. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Beetlejuice? What did you make of it in comparison with the first? What's your favorite part of the film's exploration of the afterlife? And would you like to see more of the Ghost with the Most in the future? Maybe you'd like to see that Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian script that Burton tried to get off the ground in the 90s finally see the light of day? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.